Okay. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Okay. Check 1, 2. Okay, maybe it's actually working now. Gee whiz. Talk about some problems. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Okay.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Power Platform TV. Today, we're going to talk about PCF controls.
Let's see here. Loud and clear. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know, guys. Wow. Yeah, I am going through a lot of technical issues here. I'm trying a new tool. I was hoping that was going to be better, and I think it will be, but it's a new tool, and I don't quite understand it quite yet. Um, there's a lot of configuration that I need to do. So, all right. Um, make sure that's the audio input. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So, guys, this is the second video in the series for coding in Power Apps, in Power FX. And so we're going to pick up where we left off. And let's see here. Okay, that looks good. All right. So where we left off, I was not able to finish um, the SVGs. So, okay, I need to make sure I can see the chat here. Okay, very good. Okay, so what I was going over before is that these SVG images are actually very readable code. In fact, if you see this right here, that's it sort of looks like HTML, doesn't it? So these are, I think SVGs are amazing because they're vector graphics and they'll never get pixelated uh, because they're vector graphics and it's based on math and drawing and the opposite of vector would be bitmap, I believe is what that's called. Okay. And if we were to go over to GitHub here, and what I was showing you guys in part one is if you go into SVGs, I've got some really nice blocks of code that you could utilize. And what this is, these are user-defined functions. So if you want to give user-defined functions a test, okay, you see that I've gone in here on the experimental tab. I've turned on user-defined types and user-defined functions. If you don't turn those on, the stuff that you see me use won't work. And a user-defined function will have a set of parentheses right after the name. That's how you know you've got a user-defined function. So all of these are user-defined functions. Now, let's talk about what these things do. So it says get colored SVG no encode. And here is a spinner that's simple. Okay, so let's go take a look at this link from Matthew Devaney's site where he has got lots of, well, I should say 2,000 different icons. And we could pick one here. Let's go with this A. We could actually use that SVG for any type of admin. Well, it changed on me there. Sort of like this one. Okay. I'm going to go with this purple. Hopefully that doesn't, I don't know why it does it. Admin a logo. Okay. So even though this changed, it says choose color. Um, Gee whiz. Okay. I'm going to click on this guy. And I think right now I won't even mess with the colors. All right. So this is the SVG file. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to bring in a text input. And let's open this up a little more. Make this a multi-line. Very good. And what we can do, let's see here. Okay. Very good. The font that we need to use is right here. And what I like to do is take this out for this particular purpose. And I want to use mono spacing. Let's set that to 22. And then for the default, I'm going to paste this. Nope. I'm going to paste. Nope. Okay, that did not copy. So I'm going to copy value. Okay, and I'm going to right click. Well, select all this, Control V. Yeah, there we go. Now, something I will let you guys know about SVG files. Sometimes you'll find SVG files and these single quotes are double quotes. And if you paste in an SVG with double quotes, you either need to change all the double quotes to single quotes or you need to double up wherever you see double quotes. All right. So as you can see here, here's the code. Now, what were to happen if we bring over an image, because we wanted to display this SVG file. All right, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text box. For the image, I'm going to say textbox.text. And look at that. It's showing, okay, it's text. And there's all the SVG code. There's one more thing I need to do really quick. And make sure. There we go. So this doesn't quite work. Now, if you go over to Matthew Devaney's site, here it says Power Apps code. Isn't that interesting? And then on the right side it says SVG. So if you want to be able to paste the code inside of Power Apps, you're going to need to have something a little different. And the problem, I believe, that you'll have is you could go find tons and tons, even more than 2,000, probably hundreds of thousands of different icon SVGs out there on the net. And it's not going to be as helpful and nice as Matthew Devaney is and provide the coding that it needed to make that work. So what I have here, if we go back into app formulas, essentially what needs to happen, you could pass in SVG code into this function. So I called it FX SVG encode. What's it going to do? It's going to add this. All right. Now remember this, what it looks like. If we go back over to Devaney's site, and you could see SVG. Look at that, SVG. There's some HTML encoding in there. So that's the second thing that needs to happen. All right. So if you see, yeah, if you see here, this does the encoding, and we put this code in here. So what would happen if we were to use this function on this guy that up to this point just doesn't work? So I'm going to put in parentheses. Oh, look at that. Now it works. And a lot of SVG files that you get will probably be in black and white, okay? So look at this. We've got get colored SVG, no encode. Okay. And this guy is going to give us a spinner. That's actually nice. But if you're not worried about spinners right now, let's just focus on these two things. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this function here. I want to say get colored SVG, no encode. So the first argument, they can see there, boom, that was the SVG text. The color to replace, if you see that as black and white, just do a hexadecimal number that looks like this, all zeros. And you want 6 zeros. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, see that they have 6 there? All right, so we're going to replace that one. What is our desired color? Well, I do like neon green. So the first 2 hexadecimal digits is red. I'm going to put that, I don't want any red in there. And then what I'm going to do is RGB. The G stands for green. So FF is the highest number, and the B in in RGB is the blue, and I don't want any blue in there. So we get this, and it's not displaying because, as you can see here, it's not encoding it. So what could we do here? FX encode. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now I like this bright green uh, on black. Color dot black. All right. So do you have any questions, guys, about since we had started to talk about this, I wanted to sort of finish up on what I was saying there. Because I showed you an incredible amount of icons. I was showing you GitHub repositories that have thousands of these SVG icons. So if you click on icons over here within my PowerFX snippets, all right. Now something isn't quite popping up here, but looks like Ray Mitchell subscribed. So thanks, Ray. I never saw that before with the other tool I was using. So that's cool. Appreciate it. All right. So look at all these icons. I mean, just go there and check them out. I'm going to put that in the comment there. So you can see that, get at it. And then once you find one that you like, then I'm going to recommend that you go over here. And we've got SVGs. That's where we have these 2 functions. Then I've got a markdown file here. It's called Guide to SVGs. Oh, I remember what was going on here. This, if you want to understand the coding about, the markup within SVGs, this is a whole playlist. I wonder if I go to raw, if it's going to show it to me. No. So anyway, it looked like it was some, I looked at the playlist. It looked pretty nice. So if you want to understand SVGs more, check that out. And then, let's see, we got the basic spinner. Okay, so the basic spinner not only has those 2 PowerFX functions, but includes a third one that is the spinner. And the spinner uses both of those functions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make this smaller. I want to add in another image. Make this bigger here. Very good. And what we'll do is we'll say FX. I want a simple spinner. And all of these are functions. Look at that. Isn't that cool? They're playing for all the. So Ray, I do see your comments in the chat. Now I don't have everything moved over to WAP just yet. So I'm in the process of moving thing over there. And if you can believe it, I have thousands of videos for all the different offerings that I have out there. So it is going to take me a little while to move everything over. And what I'll do is once I get everything over, I'll send out some school messages, maybe some emails, and letting everybody know I have everything moved over and to look at things to verify if everything's working for you. Okay. So, um, Ray, if you wouldn't mind sending me an email at support, I'll type it here at superpowerlabs.co. I want to make sure I get all your questions answered. If I didn't answer your question or address your concern, I can follow up with you after this live stream. Okay. So that's some good type of stuff. Okay. Now, the theme today is coding in PowerFX. So, where PowerFX really shines is whenever you have imperative coding. And you'll know that you're in an imperative code block if you see in a property that starts with on. So, if the property, in this case, the on air property of app or the on message of app or on start of the app, you can put all the imperative and declarative code in there that you want. So look for that. And there is one small another thing I was going to say was in imperative code, that's where you can use semicolons at the end of a line of code or to separate lines of code. So if you have imperative code, you're going to see these semicolons like this. But you know what? Look at this. This is app formulas. Do you see an on there? You don't. Only declarative code can go in to app formulas. And I just told you in imperative coding, now this is all declarative, that it's there where you'll need a semicolon. This is the one exception to that rule about semicolons, because Microsoft needed to implement a way to break these things up. Now, typically, I can go through all of these here. An image. So the image, you'll never see multiple lines of code unless they're nested. Yeah. And let's see. Like a gallery. In fact, I'm going to bring up a MSAP file that we were working on just last night. We were doing a deep dive into the for all function. So you can imagine, or you can bet, that we are definitely going to cover for all very extensively within the series or within the 5-day course. Okay. So I'm going to click around here. Yeah, this is a gallery. And how many lines of code do we have here? I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. But if you look at it, it all comes down to things are just nested here. There's really only one statement, and you've got stuff inside of it. So in a declarative property like this, you can't have multiple lines of code. Like I can't put something there and do something else. See, it's already giving me errors. So that's another thing that's very important to understand in PowerFX coding. what is declarative, what is imperative, and how can you know which is which. Okay, items is not imperative, it's declarative. But look at this. It does have an on select. So we could have hundreds of lines of code in here if we really wanted. But notify is a behavior or an action type of function. And what that means is that it's imperative. So here in notify, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, because we're inside of the gallery, this item, and we could look at the ASCII value. Now, I could also do a patch. I can send off emails. I can do all kinds of stuff in here because it's imperative. How do I know it's imperative? There's the on prefix there. So I'm going to click on the left parenthesis here. And what are we going to get? I think what's going on here is, okay, we got a label there, and then we have a label here. Now, if you're going to rely on the gallery on select, you need to make sure that you have something in here that says select parent. And that usually gets put in there automatically. I don't know why it didn't do that, but something to keep in mind is if you add in a modern label control here, do you see any on property? So because you don't, at least not yet, I don't recommend that you use a regular label. I mean, if you want to put in a transparent icon, the classic icon has an on select, and I don't believe that the new ones do. So here's the modern icon. We can put that over there. Look at this. This control isn't interactive. For an interactive icon, use the button control. Well, that's funny because we don't have to use a button. We could just put over one of these guys here a classic icon, and look, it does have an on select. Not only that, but if you look at it, it changes the cursor to a hand so you can click on things. All right. Okay, Travis says I use a transparent button. Yeah, that works as well. What I don't like about a button in this case, now of course we've got two different choices here, either the classic or the modern. For years, of course, people have been using the classic button, but what I do like about the buttons is that you got all kinds of different colors. Like if they click on it, I mean, you wouldn't want to make it blue like that. You'd want to have something highly transparent. Okay, for example, here is this. Well, let's do a color fade on this. And I actually would like to say, I'll use RGBA. This is going to be the easiest way to do this. So we'll say the R, the red, 255. G, 255. So you're going to give the max values for each of them. And what you got here is I could say 50% or 0.5. And okay, we've got that. But look at what we have now. We got a border in here, which I don't like. So I'm going to try to take out that border. And then I'm going to take out the text. It's just that a button takes a lot more customization than just the icon. Um, So if I click on this now, I guess we didn't drop over an icon. Or at least we didn't keep it. So this is how I handle this a lot of times, is I make it take up the full space, and then for the color, you can use a magical color, and it's called transparent. Boom. Oh, wow, look at that. So whatever you want to have happen when they click on this, look at that. It already has that select parent. So now I should see when I click on something, I should see a notify 40. Okay, so that's the ASCII code sequence number, um, or converting the decimal into um, the symbol that is returned if you were to use that. Okay, so sort of drive this point home. I'm gonna get the small label that's right there. I'll copy and paste that. And guess what you can do with an ASCII code? You could say char. What does char do? It takes a numeric value, and based on the 255 ASCII codes that we have to work with, at least in the English language, um, if you're working with Mandarin or some type of a picture type of language, Korean, Japanese, they can't fit all their characters within 255. So they have to use Unicode, which gives you a lot more flexibility there, maybe 32,000. Um, so anyway, all right. So tell me the types of things that you guys would like to know about PowerFX coding here. I did look this up, and whoever said that to create a PCF component, you use JavaScript, that's actually correct. So if you're going to create a PCF component, you're not going to use C sharp. Um, and I would hope that you use TypeScript instead of vanilla um, JavaScript, because it's a more, I should say, more stable. It's typed, and we'll get into types more here. In fact, I'd probably add this as one of the first things. Types. Now, what are we talking about here, guys? String, Boolean, a number. Now, for some reason, I think Boolean was named after somebody's last name. So it always wants that B to be capitalized, which is funny. What about, so these are simple types. Let me think of any other simple types here. Date time and dealing with SharePoint, you'd have multiple lines of text. I mean, essentially that's a string or text. And in um, within SharePoint, you can put a lot more in there. Okay, so those are simple types. What are other types? What about an image? What about color? These are types that have been defined within PowerFX. What other things do we have? A table type. All right. I'm going to show you all the types that we have in PowerFX. And if you want my honest opinion, it's a little frustrating, okay? Because now that we have this new user-defined function, my new fun, short for function. You hit a colon here. Look at this. You've got all these types. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over. I wonder if I can do something like this. There we go. So we got types. And in different programming languages, they may be called different things, okay? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go here and I'm going to say power FX. And then I'm going to say other types from other places, okay? I'll put in here SharePoint. Okay. So within PowerFX, they're not called strings. It's just called text. Now, if you want some interesting information about this, I might actually go over some of these things. Now, SQL Server very well could be a data source that you use. So you might need to know about the SQL Server types. Okay. So what you've got here is char. And what you would do with char is, let's say it's a postal code within the United States, which is 5 characters. But think about the dash and the other 4 characters that are like optional. So we got 5, the dash is 6, and the last 4 bring it to 10. So if we were to put a US zip code, I'll probably just take this and say example. So this is a string, and you specify how many characters that you're going to allow it to be in there. All right, definitely do want to keep up with all the comments here, and I wonder if I could, with this new tool, bring these messages up on the screen, and I'm having a hard time doing that for some reason. So, Randall says, "Hey all, great content, Darren." Well, thank you, Randall. I got a question about UDFs. Would you use it within a production app as well? I would, but I can't really recommend it to others because a lot of the stuff that I've done so far, I haven't had any problems with it. It works out really well, but it's experimental. And so generally things move, um, and maybe this isn't the rule for everything, but like a general rule of thumb is that it starts in experimental, then it moves over here preview for a little while, and it appears over here in new. So if you can remember modern controls and themes, that was in preview for a while. Um, what about the PDF function? It's experimental. And we've had it for a while. I don't know why it's still experimental. And I know that that a lot of people are actually frustrated with that because you need to create PDFs a lot of times within applications. So there's that. And then if there's something they want to phase out or they want to deprecate, which that sounds like a bad word, doesn't it? Um, Sort of like defenestrate or defenestration, which is being thrown out of a window. All right. So, yeah, for a long time, we haven't been able to use, once they created the app start screen, they didn't want you to use navigate within the app on start. Well, you can turn it on, but realize that it's going to go away after a while. Now, this export and import components, man, oh man, I wish they would leave that alone. See, they use that word right there, deprecated, which means, hey, don't use that anymore. Eventually, it's not going to be supported. Component libraries are now the recommended way to reuse components across apps. But you know what? I've noticed a problem there, which is I'll create a solution with a Canvas app with a bunch of components in a component library because I'm trying to do things the recommended best practice way. And whenever I package that up and send it to my students, they import it, and then that line between the component library and the Canvas Power App, that line is broken at that point. So I think I hope they either fix that completely. But what if I want to import stuff into a component library? Am I able to do that? So anyway, so would I use it within a production app? I would, but because it's experimental, I can't recommend that anybody else does. In fact, when I say they, um, I'm talking about Microsoft. I don't think they really encourage people to use things in production unless it's in a status called generally available, which is GA. So if you ever see a feature and it says GA, know that it's clear to be used in production. Okay, so let's look at these types again. Um, well, we're back to this here. Okay. No, I need it on the whole side there. And I'm going to click on that. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of that bar and pull this down. There we go. So this is one way to see all the different types that we have. And Randall says, could be changed from Microsoft anytime. That's true. That's actually very true. And we saw that with the co-authoring feature that relied upon Get. They just came out with a better source control, and I think that's actually might be experimental as well. But they completely scrapped the other co-feature. So if I go in here, I say co-authoring, okay? It was released, and it was released, boom, right in here. And you don't have a way, if I typed in get, well, I'm okay, maybe they decoupled co-authoring with source control. So I've got another trick for you guys. If you want to always be up with the latest version, Number one, I would recommend that you create, let me show you this here. If you have the access to do this, what I did was I clicked on the sprocket and I clicked on this admin center. And you may or may not have access to this in your work tenant. Okay. And let's go. So this is the new, they just changed this all up. And it looks nicer. I'm not complaining. And I could go back to the classic one up here in the upper right corner. But we'll go down here to manage. And here are all the environments. Now you can only have, look at this, dev, Darren, Git, dev, Darren, others. And here's another dev. You can only have 3 dev environments for any particular user. Just wanted to point that out. But let's create a new one here. A new environment. And if you want this not to be a managed environment, you cannot use this group. If I were to click on Darren, it, it turns it over to a managed group. Create a managed environment to govern Power Apps platform assets with more control and insights. Yeah, I'm going to turn that off. I've had a really bad experience with managed solutions. You can't edit them, which is great for production, I guess. So because of that, I probably need to look into managed environments, which is different than a managed solution. Yeah. Right here, get new features early. Turn that on. And I would probably pick a developer type. These are the different types of environments. There's actually 2 more that are not being displayed here. You do have, what do you call it? Dataverse for Teams. And I'm sure you would set that up somewhere else. And then you also have the default environment, and you don't have control over, you have limited control over the default environment, because with any tenant, it gets created and you can't remove it. You can rename it. And the best practice for a default environment, okay, I'm going to click cancel for a second. Look, here's my default environment. What Microsoft recommends is that you call it, I'm looking for the place, and it seems like they've updated this. So I'm going to click on edit. There we go. So default, they recommend that you call it personal productivity. So nobody gets the idea that they're going to be creating an app for others in the organization. Now, what I would sort of like, and because default's in all uppercase, I'll probably say don't use. So I'll save that. And it's got to go through a rollout stage. There we go. That didn't take too long. And I was actually asked to do that, to call it personal productivity for one of my clients. And it was very, as you saw, it's very easy. This is just something that where people see it, they're like, oh, I shouldn't use that one. Okay. All right. There's a lot more things I could say here. If you ever want to use, there are some templates within Power Apps. So let me show you these templates here. Look at this. Start with an app template. Okay, Randall says, I experienced that environment variabled within managed solutions are not editable as well. Yeah. So I can tell you when managed solutions are great, and perhaps this is the same aim for a managed environment, is you can't change it. So if you want to become a software vendor and you want to create some software or package that you could package up and deploy to your customers, you really don't want them opening it up. So that's where managed solutions I think are great. And I would also recommend it for a production type of setup. Now, I worked for another large client where I worked with one of their network engineers, and he read up on it, and he's like, "Oh no, we're creating everything as a managed solution." And he we needed three environments. You really do need a dev environment, a testing or UAT. UAT stands for user acceptance testing, I believe. And then you got production or prod. I would only recommend the managed for production or deploying to a client's environment. So they still need you if they want to change. Um, but what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yeah, he wanted to create it as a managed solution for the QA environment. Well, what happened was the app and everything was working fine in my dev environment. But in QA, there was a problem, and we had just deployed over to QA. And they're like, Darren, can you look into that? I'm like, no, I can't. I can't open it up. I can't do anything with it. It's like Fort Knox. And then I told them, I'm like, you need to create this as an unmanaged solution. And then they tried to deploy that, and then everything got messed up or jacked in that QA environment, and they had to scrap that environment and create a new one. So I haven't had a lot of good experiences with the managed stuff. And it really does seem that Microsoft wants us to use everything managed. But Randall says, for example, I try to use the app ID within flows to send push notifications, but this app ID will be created at first import of the managed solution. So I had to republish and update the managed. Oh yeah, that sounds like a pain. Solution and dev with the new app ID. Yeah. Okay, what I was going to show you here is we've gone live. I think this was the last Saturday. We also had a workshop on this, and we're going through sort of recreating, making, I'm calling it remastered, the Power Apps templates remastered. And what we're doing is we're taking these and a lot of these templates were created years ago, and the language has evolved over time. And usually when you open one of these things up, there's tons of errors. And so the one that we were working with, I believe it was this onboarding task. I really like that app, but and it wasn't giving us too many errors. But one of the most popular ones is the service desk template. And all these templates want to use an Excel spreadsheet, which is the worst data source, but it is very portable, right? Because you don't know that the person using the template, if they have SharePoint set up, if they have Dataverse, So if you ever see when you use one of these templates says make my own app, you definitely want to do that. And it's going to use my OneDrive to store an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. So it doesn't even, you can't even create it. So very frustrating. If I go back into templates and I click on this, create it, and just forget about that spreadsheet. I got a copy of um, a lot of these spreadsheets. So if you guys need any of them, let me know. Now, you guys should probably check out, let's see here. Type, I'm just going to look at public repositories. And by the way, I'm going to be building this repository with all the notes and links to the videos and everything there. But boom, stock templates remastered. So I set this up in a way to really help people out if they just can't get the thing created and installed. um, so let's go into app templates, and I haven't done anything with um, this one recently. Now I'm not going to make it my own because it just doesn't work. It's the onboarding task. So if I go into onboarding tasks, look at what we have. Here is an Excel spreadsheet. This is the one it created. I just made a copy of it just in case somebody wants to start from the pristine, fresh Excel spreadsheet that Microsoft provides. Okay, and anyway, I'll probably upgrade this in a way so it uses SharePoint list and also have some Power Automate flows uh, that creates those SharePoint lists or even the SharePoint site. Randall says remastered is still outdated. um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean there. Um, yeah, we haven't fully upgraded this, but eventually I'll create one for this one. Um, Now because it doesn't have the Excel spreadsheet in here, you're not going to see the errors. But I can show you the type of stuff that you'll see. Okay, this thing uses this. Here's a text box, and it's going to show me the tooltip. I don't know why I'd want to see the tooltip right off. Okay, it looks like they actually upgraded this because it used to be this item wasn't there. It was just priority. So I guess when Power Apps first came out, you didn't have to say this item, or maybe there wasn't any this item. Yeah. So yeah, Randall says that the templates are remastered and are not working on new Power Apps. Yeah. Well, we'll get them there eventually. So anyway, I still haven't gotten to what I was going to show you guys. All right, I'm going to leave that. And what I'm going to do is start with the template. And I've noticed new ones that I hadn't seen before. So if you scroll down, there are some, and I'm just used to Microsoft changing things on me. Like I think I know how things are, and then it just changes overnight sometimes. I do like this leave request app. You know, when I say that, I'm talking about the look and the feel. It's really nice. Um, this one right here might be. Nope. I'm gonna hit. meant to hit back. Maybe they took them down because they didn't work. But there are some. Okay, I'm going to try customer success. And this looks like it's going to work just fine. Now, what they had the other day, last week, is if you, some of them you try to open. No, I think they might have taken those down. Product showcase. No, that's there. And I've got a listing. Um, you know what I think? I think I documented it all. Power Platform links. Let's go into Power Apps and we'll go into Canvas. Making sure I don't have something down here. Looking for, okay, look at that. Template dev. Template development. Okay, these are the templates that I've worked with and how you would implement it in your own. Here are sample projects. These are my own sample projects. Let's see here. Control times. Maybe I documented it over here. Okay, I'm going to click on this guy, Power Apps Darren, and I'll look here and I'll look at my public ones. I may have documented it in there. So, assets. Okay, so these are images. Book a room. It's this SAP procurement. Yeah, there was something in here called SAP procurement. It was the top one. Okay, if I do a control F here, SAP. They took them down. Oh my goodness gracious, guys. So I'm going to go look for this because I want you guys to be able to check this out because there's quite a few. And I'm going to type in here app source, power apps. Yeah, you could publish your apps on this site. I'm going to show it to you here. Here we go. There is SAP procurement. And these top ones here were all listed there. Now, look what happens when I wanted this one. Oh, you got to fill out your information and it's like, what? Why can't I just have it? All right. So, and then some of these say get it now. So that would lead me to believe that I could download and install this. Look, it says Dynamics 365. Okay. The reason I went through all of this, look at this. I'm signed into the Power Platform. Boom. Here's all my stuff. Now, if I wanted this to be installed, and I'm gonna pick this one. And I'm waiting for this install button to pop up. Okay, you gotta agree. And because it says Dynamics, it makes me think that it relies on Dataverse. Here's the documentation. Look at that. Okay, look at this, guys. So these things are called enterprise templates. And I'm going to share that with you guys. World Comes says, "Hi Darren, your tutorial on learning Power Apps on WAP. Is it okay for me to go through it? Seeing it seems to be a bit outdated relative to the current Power Apps. Um, which one? Because I think I've got quite a few things out there. Let me know which one you're talking about. I can answer that question." Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are called uh, enterprise templates. So these are meant for large organizations, perhaps. I don't know why you couldn't use it in a small organization, but yeah, this is what they are. So there was three, four, five, six, seven, eight of these that I saw. And look, they're on App Source. Implementing enterprise software use cases often time consuming, expensive. Gives you foundation to help you quickly get started. Okay. They require Power Platform Premium licensing. Okay. So that's probably what's going on that makes them so different than the others. But here's all the links to install and set up each of them. And what I noticed the other day is when I clicked on one, I just got it brought up App Source, and then I'm gonna go ahead and install, and I'll show you guys what happens here. On one of them, I clicked on it, or brought up the App Source, and then it just gave an error. It didn't allow me to do anything else. So it's installing this one. And if you don't, you see it's got Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now this one says Power Platform, so this one may work, but I think some of the others didn't work, and you have to. Oh, I just left that screen. I didn't mean to leave it. Okay, still installing that. Now remember I showed you guys this thing when you create environments. So I could go in here, create a new one. And when you get down here, you definitely want to turn on Dataverse. I always want those new features. I'm going to call this test. And you know what? I'm going to pick a trial. I've never created a trial environment before. Okay. I'm going to turn on Dataverse. I'm going to hit next. Look at this. Enable Dynamics 365 apps. It can only be enabled for production or sandbox environments. Okay. So I think on the sandbox, you see this is a sandbox environment. I'll usually put the type of environment in the name. I don't know that I turn on dynamics. But yeah, if you want to get at the enterprise level templates, boom, I would highly recommend that you turn that on. And I'm going to see if it will show me. It's still installing. I'm going to refresh. Sometimes you need to do that. Okay. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is document everything so you guys can find stuff very easily, you know. Especially you can especially see that over here in I've got these two guys pinned. Go in the Power FX snippets. Oh, look, certification exams. What do I have in here? So stuff that I find I'll put in here, this is official Microsoft stuff. And when it's not my stuff, almost always I'll provide a link so nobody's confused that, hey, I didn't create this. This is obtained from this link. The credit goes there. Now look at this. PL 900. What is in there? So here's general information about the exam. And look at all these links. There's a GitHub for this exam. Yes. Yes, there is. Look at this. Instructions and labs. What's in here? Tells you how to set up your tenant. And it's got practical labs. Lab 1, data modeling. Okay. That's sort of cool. I like that. If you want to know, hey, how do I take the exam? Boom. So I try to do that for all of these things here. What about best practices? And some of these are files that I've started and I haven't had a chance to finish them up, because in the best practices, I want to link you guys to the white paper that Microsoft released on standards and best practices, and also to Matthew Devaney's site. He did a great job with some uh, best practices. So I'm going to include those links here. What else do we have? Charts. I don't believe that I finished that. Code components. Yeah, here's the component framework. And so any resources that I find, so this is the whole documentation for creating component frameworks. So we got code components, we got Canvas apps, and I think this might have been where I saw, no, I don't think it did. But if I do a search for HTML, nope. JavaScript, nope. All right. Yeah, here's the exam. Oh. And I'm trying to think of something that I really did put in a lot of time on. Yeah, look at connectors. So these are two really common connectors that you use in Canvas apps. Now, why would you need some source code out? It's just really simple to do, right? Well, what if you need to email attachments? Do you know how to do that just off the top of your head? I don't, because I don't use it every day. But look at this. Send email V2. And in the 1, 2, 3, and then this one is fourth. In the fourth parameter, you give it a record type of value. And one of those is attachments. What are all the other things I could specify here? Well, if you go back one, look at this. Send email. So here's a button that just sends that. So the first parameter is who it's going to. The second parameter is the subject line. This is the body of the email. And these are all of the other values that you can pass in to the fourth parameter. Okay? Oh, there's sensitivity. And you might get here, I'm like, well, what can I pass in here? Well, I went and found out. These are the four things that you could do. Here's the importance level. Yeah, you could set the from, CC, BCC, all this type of stuff. And look at this. We do a for all. And let's say we have attachment control. We reference the attachments. And then these attachments have to be a record with two fields, name and content bytes. Okay. So that's what I try to do with these. I think I've got some really cool stuff in the dialogues. Yeah, whenever I find something cool or like ideas of creating my own dialogues, I'll put stuff in there. Check out emojis. I've got a listing of it's 20,000 lines of or 19,000 lines of code here, guys. But if you want to use this, throw this over in your app.formulas. This becomes a collection, as long as you set it up as a collection, and you can do a search for something and pull up the exact emoji you're looking for. So there's a lot of them. Now there are thousands of emojis out there over the years, but these are all the common ones that people use. Now if I go over to emojis markdown, I've provided a bunch of resources. Here's a GitHub repository, which is where I found this. Yeah, and then let's see here. Yeah, so if you want to check these out, yeah, look at this. Here's a bunch of, and let's see here. Yeah, if you do a +1, it gives you the thumbs up. If you do 100, it's going to give you that. So you could use these, and generally what you can do if you're in Windows, I mean, you could type in somewhere, hit Windows dot, and you can get at the emojis that way within Windows. And then if I go back over to a place where I can do this, let's say I wanted to have that 100% thing. Well, let's say text equals, and I could do 2 colons and put 100 in there. So that is like if you're chatting with somebody, I know that works. Um, and I'm not sure which one. Maybe all of these might work, and maybe different browsers, different operating systems work with them differently. But these should be the different things that you could use to get specific emojis. Randall says, I wish there would be a button to attach files to a collection instead of using the attachment control out of a form. You know what? I've got to share with you what I have out here in my repository because I got some cool stuff about that. I've got a folder here called controls, and I don't use forms. I do not use forms, at least not anymore. So here's a listing of all kinds of controls I've started some cool stuff in, okay? The first one is attachment. Now, what's in here? Let's see what this is. So I set this one up to set everything up the way that I would want it in a screen, and it pulls in the app theme. Okay. This one is the most basic thing. What I noticed before, I thought it was this. Okay. What you'll notice here, if I create a new screen, I'm going to right click and paste the code. Okay, that is an attachment control, as you see here. But it just says there's nothing attached. If I run it, I get nothing to click on to add a file. So that's no bueno. It's no good. What I found out is it needs this property is in data card. I'm going to copy that and see how that is different. Paste, boom. Now we've got the attachment file. So I'll click on that, and there we go. Isn't that nice? Uh, all right, so I'm going to delete that one. Now, let's look at, I don't need that repository anymore. Let's go to this attachments here, and I'm going to click on copy. And I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to paste the code, and I feel like this looks so much better than this thing. But I mean, we could take out the border. We could do all kinds of things. So if you look at the YAML, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that we could specify. Now, looking back at Randall's comment, I, I wish there would be a button to attach files to a collection. Yeah, rather than use that. Now, you know what you could do? I'll move these guys around here a little bit. Let's add a button. And what I'm going to do here is when this button is clicked on, I'm going to get rid of this guy. This one looks so much better. And look, it already has a good looking name. So in this button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say select that. Now, what does that do? Does it do anything? Doesn't seem so. I was hoping. Um, so let's look at the different events here. On add file. Okay, so this is what we can do. Are you ready to have your mind blown? We'll take out everything out of this so you can't see anything. Everything is going to be transparent. Ooh. And so I think that's the border. All right. So for here, I'm going to say color.transparent, and I'll copy that. And for each one of these, yeah, color transparent. This guy, color transparent. What else can we do? Okay, make that transparent. Boom, self color. Nope, I want you to be transparent. Nope, I want you to be transparent. Drop target color. Gee whiz. Okay, so I think we're close. Now, there's something called color, and that's going to be the font color. There we go. Boom, gone. This is exciting, guys. This is cool. Add item color? No. Transparent. Anything that says color. Attachment text. Add item fill? No. Transparent. Can you see it still? Here's something called color. Okay, that's transparent. Yeah, that's the font color. I'm looking for fill. That's what I'm really looking for. So let's go down to fill. Ah, there we go. Look at that. It almost looks like we don't have one now. Now, we could put this on top of the button. All right. So now, if I run this thing and the user sees a button, and they click on it, what's going to happen? Look at that. So what you'll need to do, let's go back over to color and we'll say colored blue. Do you see where it says attach file? Make sure that's on top of there. Okay. And we could end up making this our own control. Oh, there's a button there called attach. Is it going to work? Now I wonder if the button is on top, and it is. Okay. So I'm going to move the attachment control on top. Look at that. So I'm going to put in this guy's photo. Now what should we do? In the attachment control. Yeah, I just realized this would be a great component. Okay, so we have on add file. Well, let's do it right there. So we're going to say collect. And let's do something that we know is going to work in a collection. Look at that. We could say for all, but we're going to add them. All right. So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to go back over here. Nope. Yeah, what we'll do here is we'll call this COL attachments. And then what we'll do is we will say self.attachments. Now, I don't know if it should be first or last, but let's do first. And if there's only one item in there, of course, it's going to work. But let's open this up a little more because we'll need to set it up in a certain way. So we'll do a first thing there. We need to create a record. Look at that. Name and value. Well, that's interesting. How did it know that's exactly what I wanted to do? Name. Oh, then there are content bytes. Okay. In the attachment control, it's called value. If you want to put it in an email, you got to say content bytes. Okay. So let's use name and value. And if you're going to email it, then you can put that in. Okay, so we've got name, comma, value. Paste that in, value. And of course, we need a closing curly brace. I'm going to save this. And I should make this into YAML that you guys can just copy and paste in your own apps. Okay, so check this out. Let's get now I don't like to style galleries anymore because I always do several things to a gallery. So I'm going to go over here to gallery and I'm going to click on simple gallery. I'm going to copy that. Isn't that cool? And let's make this, I don't know, 120 or so. And then the collection, that will be the data source for this guy. And what we'll want to do, this thing will hold the name. Now, do we have anything in there yet? Okay, we don't have anything in there yet. You will want to put over an image. I guess this presupposes that any attachment is a photo, you know. Um, so if you know they're going to be PDFs, you just put a little PDF icon there, which I have. I have. Gee whiz, where did I put that? It might have been in icons. There's a repository that has all of the SVG files for the most popular file types like PDF and Word, Excel, all that type of stuff. So I'm just going to look at it really quick. And if I don't see it, and I thought it was for Microsoft, so I'm looking for Microsoft. No, I'm not seeing it right away, so I won't spend any more time on that. But anyway, now this code here, it puts this into the collection. Now for this image, what I would want to do is say this item dot value. And I think I'll put a little border around there. Right, reminds me that something's there. Now if I run it, there's nothing in the collection. I hit the button and I click on this guy. Look at that. Did you see this? Okay, there's a weird hover thing going on here. Um, Gee whiz. So we've got pressed color. Okay, I'm going to copy that because I feel like I'm going to need it. Removed item color. Put that in there. Pretty much anything that says color. um, Removed item fill. I mean, we haven't. Actually, that is why that's being displayed there, is for removal. No. And you know what we could do? As soon as they add it, we throw it in the collection. And what we could do is remove it. So we're going to collect that. And then we'll say call attachments dot. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Self dot attachments. Well, can we use clear on that? That's a weird space. Okay. Well, I'm just going to click on this for now. Boom. Let's get one of my long hair photos. Something that I am going to do is I'm going to put a border around this. There we go. So at least we can see it. Now there's got to be a way to clear out max. Look at this. Max attachments. Well, I could put one there. All right. So I'm going to keep up to date with these comments here. Randall says, I'm ready. Ready to get your mind blown. Bus, it wouldn't be easy to place the attachment control responsive over a button. There is a way to get around that, even in responsive design. So at some point I could go over that. Item hover fill. Okay, so let's go to item hover fill. Look at that. There we go. Windows V. There's my transparent. But as soon as we add an item in here, it starts to get longer there. So if I say max attachment 1, and that's the size, I think 50, yeah, 50 megabytes is as big as you can use for the attachment control. So in the YAML code, I already set it to 50. Well, I mean, why not? 50 megs isn't that much. So anyway, so in this click event, notice that did not work. Okay. Let's do a reset in self. Can a control reset itself? Okay. See, this is the issue is where is the button to attach? It's probably somewhere around here. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Bring in another long hair. Okay, so there he is. Okay. So I'm gonna, for this attachment, what I'm gonna do is on visible, I'm gonna clear that collection so we can like start from scratch. And do we have any type of items on this? Yeah, there is items. Okay. But look, there's nothing in there. Um, so perhaps what I can do is give it an empty record. What is it expecting? Okay, I could put square brackets around it, which makes it a collection. That's what I was expecting. That's weird. Okay. Now, if I back out of this, ugh. Did I just put it in the SVGs? I think I did. There's a pretty big delay on the chat. Yeah, I think that's something I set up. It might be 20 seconds, but I could decrease that in future live streams. And look at this. There's something in there. And I think what it is this empty thing that doesn't exist. What if we say blank? There we go. Okay. Now I want to make this small enough to get that little scroll bar and then go up so the scroll bar disappears. And then it should be right there. Boom. So add this guy. I'm going to add another guy with some long hair. Look at that. And it's not growing, which means it's being cleared out. Let's get a third one. Now, I got to get you guys' opinion of this. I'm going to go with 300. And I don't need to see the name anymore. Let's get these things here and and then set up the the wrap count to 3. And then we could also set this guy up to be transparent. Whoa, something happened. Oh, Tib Ear IU has just subscribed. Thanks for subscribing, guys. Very cool. And Randall says greetings from Vienna, Australia. Well, cool. It's hard in case of font.size as well to make this responsive. It took me some time. Well, I've been able to get most things to work even with the responsive stuff, but perhaps we could talk about that at some point. Oh, this has a weird uh, border there. So now for this attachment control. Let's make that gone. Well, I thought I was. Border. Okay, now it really is gone. And for this little control, let's say attach. Now check this out, guys. Attach. Is that not cool? So, um, Randall, when you said, let's see, power, blah, blah, blah. I wish there would be a button to attach files to a collection instead of use the attachment control out of a form. So here in just a few minutes, we were able to do that. So hopefully that um, takes care of what you were looking for. How can you sell these apps? Um, what? So are you talking about like the templates that Microsoft provides? Um, or are you talking about just apps that you create yourself? So this is from STE Topic. Um, you could sell them on AppSource, to be honest. Okay, AppSource, Microsoft. Yeah. So what you could do is, yeah, there's AppSource. And you could build your own solutions. It doesn't have to be Power Apps. It could be Power BI reports, dashboards, all kinds of stuff. Now, Microsoft Commercial Marketplace customer documentation. Look at that. There's the documentation for you guys. Can you make a video game? Absolutely. Yeah. So let me show you probably the coolest video game I've seen here. It's from Matthew Devaney. I'm a huge fan of that guy. You're kidding me. That's funny. All right, let's go look at his repositories. Well, what's in this one? Yeah, let's go to his user profile, and you want to follow him because he has a lot of good stuff. And I'm going to click on it. He's got 38 repositories, guys, and I always sort by the stars, by the popularity. Look at this. Here's a GitHub repository called PowerFX Samples. Now he forked this one, which isn't a bad thing, but if you want to get at this which is, I think this is a part of Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken here. Or maybe it's just the Power Platform or M365 community. But yeah, look, Power App samples. There's the samples. Look at all this stuff, guys. Here's an image creator, leave request, license calculator, PowerFX JSON. That seems interesting. Very cool. But let's go back. Matthew Devaney did a game. So let's do a search for here. I think I like to use Google instead. And I'm going to say Matthew Devaney Power Apps. And I'm going to say game. I know this one talks about it right here. Look at this. Look at what he did. Um, okay. World comes, says, hey, Darren, still waiting for your response. Is your Learn Power Apps free on WAP okay to learn? Well, sure. Is it outdated? No. I actually just created it recently and I just need to move things over. So I don't, I mean, if I made a video 3 years ago, there are slight changes uh, with Power Apps, but it's not really significant. Like the menus in Power Apps have changed some. There are some things that I might have said 3 years ago, hey, that's not possible within Canvas Power Apps, or you got to do this workaround. And then Microsoft releases a feature that makes it easy. So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the WAP link, and I think what it is my click on this guy here. Yeah, this link right here is the free WAP. So it's got some cool stuff in there. It's got all the free stuff, okay? Now if you want to get at a lot of my cool stuff, I have another WAP um that I can share with you if you're interested. I don't like to be selling things all the time. I'm just trying to provide value to you guys right now. But I gotta get there first and grab this link. It's the Insiders. I call it Power Insiders. And this is a paid membership. And when I started it out, I ran a Black Friday sale. It was 50% off, but you were locked in to it for life. Um, but gee whiz, where is? Oh, there it is. There we go. There is the other one. So the second one is paid, but it's got a lot more stuff. And please realize that I've got thousands of videos to bring over. So not everything is there yet, but it will be in the next few days. And in the meantime, you can always get at everything um, in the interim or until I got everything over in WAP. There is this community that you could go to that's got everything in there. But I'm trying to move everything over to WAP. Okay. And what was I trying to show here? Okay, I was trying to find his game, which I did find here. And you can download it. Trying to see where it's at. Here we go. Play Pipe Dream. Yeah, here's the post from Matthew Devaney himself. I'm going to share this link with you guys. Okay. And I'd recommend following him on Twitter and LinkedIn too. Look at this. This looks awesome. Oh, it was created by him and his wife. Okay. I know his wife is a graphic designer, like my wife is. So this looks amazing. I'm looking for the MSF file. Look at this. Click the MSF file below. Now I don't see where to download it. It's a really cool app. So it's a little sad if it goes missing. Design. Now this is in a gallery. Let me click on this and I'm going to type in game. Okay, gaming laptops. Here's a Pong game. Here's an item on creating a game. Simulation game and power. So anyway, I'm going to share this link with you guys. All right. All right. So the next time that I go live, guys, I will make sure, hopefully, that all of my technical issues will be ironed out, and I'll have an outline to go off of, because I had a bit of an outline for the live stream this morning when I went live. Um, I didn't have time to prepare another outline, which I really do need if I'm going to have like a coherent live stream. But yeah, with all the people that have joined, it seems like people are enjoying it. Um, Randall asks, would it be a great practice to declare functions in invisible buttons and select them to use the function just in case if we don't trust UDFs? Yes, yes, absolutely. In fact, that is what I do, um, in a lot of ways. So let me show you a project where I sort of did that, but I think it was actually a slicker way. And I have this in my Jumpstart Kit version 3. So I'm going to bring this up and sort of show this off. Now, this is probably something that is going to be in the 5-day course. I'm going to show you how to do what I did here. And it's actually much better than just a button and firing the select for it. Okay. Right here, I have a component called comp code. So let me show you how this works. Now that's my loading screen. I'm going to go over to the home screen here. And I'm going to insert custom, and I'm going to put in, if I can find it. Yeah, comp code. It was at the top. Yeah, look at this. Now, this thing, okay, I got two spacer um, labels there that don't need to be in there. And as you can see, these are responsive containers. And what you would want to do for this, go into app formulas. There's a formula again that I got from Matthew Devaney, which is, well, I'm going to do a search for studio. FX is studio mode. Do you know what that means as far as in studio? It means you're the Power Apps developer inside of this application. Okay. So what I could do is I could take this that will tell us if we're in the studio mode using the host object. And I'm going to go over to this. I'm looking for visible. Do I have a visible that I can? It does not allow me to force the visible. Okay. Okay. Well, so what I could do over here on the home screen, and you could create your own YAML code that you could copy and paste in here, okay? But go over to the visible and type that there. Now that is in my repository. Um, and that is in, I think it's Nat Formulas. I've got a lot of code in that. So are we in studio mode? Yeah, and give credit to Matthew Devaney here. Um, yeah, so there's the code if you want to put this in your app formulas. So FX is studio mode. So if I save, I publish, I run it as a user, you're not going to see it. Okay, so that's the first thing. You don't want the user to see that. And if they did, they could click on this button, which would run the code. Okay. Now, you don't have to do any janky, weird trick of doing a select. What you do is we have an on event. And it just has, by default, just a notify there. Okay. Now, I'm going to add in another button here because I'm going to show you another cool trick. And for this container here, I'm going to put in a gap of at least 20. There we go. Then I use the developer. We'll see this. You can click on the run. Look at that. It fires that code that we had in there. Imperative code, which is amazing. Now, you could copy the name of this component, and inside of a button, you could reference that control and say on event. Is that what I did there? Or was it, there's another thing in there that I do. Oh, it's called function to call. How apropos. Okay. So over here in this button, function to call, it is a function. Okay. So let's say we can't see this, but we got a button here and you want to have like a procedure run. Click on the button, boom, it executes it. Isn't that cool? So we'll be making use of that and probably making our own component during the 5-day course, the Power FX. Um, Something I've done in the past is on the loading screen, I would go into the on visible. Let's see what I did here. I set up globals here because I don't want to use app on start. Microsoft doesn't want you to use that anymore. Which means, in my opinion, they're eventually going to take it away from us. So I'm not going to use it. Hopefully I don't have anything in here. Oh, that's on air. Yeah. I put some comments in there, say, hey, don't use this, or using it sparingly. You could move most things in app formulas except your imperative code. So, yeah. So you could have some code in here. Create a demo user, create the current user. And what I'm talking about is add them to a database. Um, so there's that. And you could go in here and do exactly what you were recommending, Randall, which is to do a select. And if you keep track of what has run and what hasn't, whenever that item changes, at that point you could do a navigate. And I do have a timer here. And a timer is a great place to put imperative code as well, because you have on timer start, on timer end, and you don't have to have it repeat. It can just run once. There's all kinds of ways of doing this. So, anyhow, tomorrow is our workshop where we're going to be working with the templates that are available to us, the templates remastered. And we'll probably be working on the one that we were doing last Saturday morning, which is onboarding task. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Randall. Yeah, I love helping you guys out. I find this stuff really fun and exciting, so I got to share it. So, tomorrow afternoon, it's a 4 hour workshop from 1 to 4. If you are interested in attending, then you need to click on the link that I shared before in the chat. That is a WAP, and it is the paid one, the one that says Superpower Labs. Okay. And if you guys have any questions at all, you can email us at support at superpowerlabs.co and email us all you want for any problems that you have. A lot of times I'll have a video that already answers the question and I'll reply back with a link to it, or I realize I don't have a video on it and then I'll plan some content to create to answer that question. All right. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining me. Um, Thanks for putting up with the technical difficulties I was experiencing. And if you don't catch the workshop tomorrow, we will be going live this Saturday morning at 10 a.m., like I almost always do. So have a